Good afternoon to each and everyone. I am Shalaming Belbelda and I am the one who will report about the origins and growth of Confucianism. Confucianism has brought social and political changes in the world. The founder himself, Master Kong or Confuci, was born during the troubled times of war, political intrigues, and many social changes in China. One must understand his life and teachings in the light of the political and social background that prevailed during his lifetime. Master Kong, who is more popular known outside China by the Latinized name Confucius, would be seen as the most influential thinker in Chinese history. His teachings were all about moral and political maxims, a way of life or a traditional system of values. After the death of Confucius, his students and the many generations of his followers generated texts and compiled his different teachings. One of the collections of his sayings and teachings in the Analects Lunyo, this collection has been the primary source of the direct quotations of Confucius. Throughout the Chinese dynasties, Confucianism made a great impact in the political, social, economic, religious, and cultural aspects of many people's lives. It has adapted itself to political and social demands while gaining positive influence and on some occasions experiencing breakdown, thus becoming flexible. During the Han Dynasty, Confucianism was promoted as a state ideology in which Confucian scholar officials laid the basis of government. However, this must not be seen as a case wherein Confucianism was used as a government's tool. Confucianism here simply became a political watchdog for ruling activities in order to shape or reshape the political map. Confucianism has undergone hundreds of years of reforms in order to become what it is now. In the early times, Confucius and his followers started a philosophy in the path of peace and harmony amidst political and social changes during those times. There were also periods when Confucianism suffered persecutions from dynasty and it needed to adapt. Moreover, Buddhism and Taoism challenged the foundations of Confucianism as they created a new form of Confucian learning which led to the reformulation of the Confucian view of the universe, society, and the self. These changes resulted in a new Confucian learning called Dao Shu, the learning of the way, or Li Shu, the learning of the principle or reason, which became known in the West as New Confucianism. As time passed, Confucianism is characterized as a process of tradition. This is the time when Chinese Confucianism was introduced to other East Asian countries and was presented accordingly to the local culture, beliefs, religions, and traditions. The Confucian classics and commentaries were interpreted in the light of their own local understanding, historical experiences, and practices.
Major sources of Confucianism and its tradition. Confucianism classes. The five Confucianism classes reversed as China's oldest literature are vast collection of stories and precepts. According to Hobler 2009, many people see the books as model of behavior and truth. Number 1. The shaping of book of poetry contains the oldest 300 poems to be chanted or sung. They are about the common experience of all people which spoke about love, work, and war. Number 2. The Shujing or book of literature contains documents about the mythology and history of China from the time of the legendary emperors to Confucius time. This book is sometimes called the Book of the Documents, which include describe speeches and advice from counselor and similar reports of government affairs. The Chanshu of Spring and Autumn Annals contains the history of Confucian home state during the year 722 up to 481 BCE, 2 years before Confucius' death. Fortune-telling manual The Yi Jing is a book of divination that helps predict future natural occurrences. The book consists of 64 broken or unbroken lines with accompanying temperatures. The big idea is the true one's idea being transcribed and transmitted through written text that his or her person is homogenized of remembered. Number 5. The Leju or Book of Rites consists of 3 sparing ritual exists and consists the Chu dynasty birth system and the proper forms for many ceremonies.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Leonardo Mercado. I am the reporter of 4 books. The analysis in the present form was arranged by the disciple of Confucianism. It contained the 497 words which featured common of Confucianism on specific problems. The book served as a guide for the life of many people through the 2,500 years of existence. The book takes many on greater significance as grow older and experience in life. Number 2. Lindsay reflects on Confucianism facing many intellectual challenges during the time of Confucius. He gave his own views on significance and meaning of some of the saying of Confucianism. Number 3. The Great Learning is a guide on how many people become Confucian gentlemen, in which its theme and self-cultivation. The doctrinal line of main Confucianism of the series of essays and stories pertain, per, pertaining to the
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is G-3 Phil. I am the one who report about overview of Confucian practices and virtues. Confucius' teachings may be divided into 2 parts: who a good person is and what a good person society is really 2010. In the following discussion, you will see Confucius' ideas on how individuals must live and how individual can change the adverse social and political situations of his or her time. Confucius valued the development of one's inner disposition, self, and he emphasized an importance for humans to a peaceful and organized society. Filial piety, rituals, and ancestor worship. Rituals in Chinese, in general, are expressions of religious life and belief. They are communal and they build a shared understanding among members of community of believers. Rituals are closely associated to prayer or meditation. However, the Chinese word is etymologically related to a more general religious practice, worship, and sacrificial vessel. These are the definite religious overtones of the Chinese. However, it transcends the sacred sphere in a sense that includes the profane sphere of human activities. That is, has broader meaning that includes not just religious practices, but the social practices as well. For instance, there are rituals in training for cultivating virtual virtues, social etiquette, and propriety. Confucian teachers are also called teachers of rituals. In fact, Confucianism is known as a ritual religion. Confucianism emphasizes the importance of rituals as what defines a form of proper behavior. It revives the importance of cultic practices such as veneration of ancestors and worship of heaven. These rituals are inscribed in various books of Confucianism, such as the Spring-Autumn Annals, which elaborates the metaphysics of the yin-yang, and the Book of Rites, which contains elaborate instructions on proper conduct during mourning and funerals. Ritual propriety will have no effect without the right inner disposition. It is hypocrisy for one to perform and observe proper ritual behavior in a particular occasion, but lack inner conviction in doing so. For instance, it is considered hypocrisy for one to perform sacrifice for the dead, but have no conscious recognition of the presence of the spirits. One of the most popular teachings of Confucian tradition is the heaven. The heaven plays an important role in Confucian ritual practices and worship. It is said that Chinese emperors are the sole privileged mediator between the earth and the heaven. It is through the emperors that earthly favors and petitions of people of China are lifted to heaven. In a sense, the emperors play essential role in Confucian worship.
Good afternoon to each and everyone. I am Kiefer Tagala, and I will be the reporter of Understanding, Sympathy, and Compassion. Understanding, sympathy, compassion, or SHU, means not doing others what one does not want to oneself. This message is simple. Treat others in the same way you want to treat them. An individual does not want others to do unnecessary and damaging acts toward him or her. He or she wants others to respect his or her space, situation, emotions, and needs. Thus, if one wants others to act in accordance to his or her will and desires, he or she must start from within by showing goodness to other people. Sympathy is putting oneself in another person's shoes, whatever the situation of other people may be. You may feel their emotions and you deal with them accordingly. Humanity. Confucius helped us understand the different virtues. But for him, all of those virtues are the ways towards moral attitude, or Ren. Ren originally means handsome, manly, or man's man. This just means that all these virtues lead an individual into his or her being human, his or her humanity. If a person inculcates all the virtues within himself or herself and expresses goodness toward others, it just means that what he or she does, what he or she thinks, and what he or she says are morally upright. As one expresses how to be good to others, he or she makes the community at large a better society each person will enjoy to serve and be served. Rituals. Rituals are distinct and unique to human society and are based on a society's belief, traditions, and religions. Confucius divided rituals into two forms: religious rituals and noble etiquette. The Book of Poetry revealed that there are many rituals, particularly ancestral venerations, which include the laying out of grains and wine, the invitations to the ancestors, and the impersonation of the dead. Confucius also taught forms of nobles etiquette. Examples include how a lord enters a room before a duke, the proper salutation from one rank to another, and the like. Confucius gave importance to rituals because they showed reverence of the descendants to ancestors and reverence and dutifulness of a follower to a king. They guide one on how to behave in the social functions and situations. Most of all, they ensure a proper and civilized society.
To each and everyone. I am Crystal Faith Alum and I will be the reporter of What is a Good Society? Setting words right, education without distinction. In the Analects, Confucius says, in education, there are no different kinds. This means that same education should be given to all, regardless if they are slow learners or sage, or if they are rich or poor. Education is for everyone and there must be no discrimination.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michaela Scabra, and I'm the reporter of The Woman, The Way, and the Family Rituals. So, women. Throughout Chinese history, women have been considered as causes of disasters to government and families. This is the reason why women have no position in either the political or social aspect of the society. However, Confucius made a distinction on the value and rule of women. Though women are below the ranks, they too can do their duties. Rituals teach both men and women to behave properly and accordingly. Women provide a harmonious household and deal with domestic and private concerns. There are also rules for the domestic rituals in which women are included. For examples, like a woman's duty was to her husband, wifely responsibilities, family duties, and household chores. Young women are expected to remain chaste and pure virgins until marriage and were not meant to remarry, even if their husbands died. Next is the way. The way is Confucius used the term the way or Tao, which is an ethical, political, and civilized order. He says, I set my heart on the way, base myself on virtue, lent on humanity. For examples, the Chinese word Tao means a way or a path. Confucians used the term Tao to speak of the way human beings ought to behave in society. In other words, Tao for them was an ethical or moral way. From the point of view of Taoism, however, the Confucian concept of Tao was too limited. Taoists preferred to understand the Tao as the way of nature as a whole.
Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Albert Pizal Kim, I'm the reporter of Concept of Gentleman and Confucianism Practice. So, concept of gentleman. What does it mean to be a gentleman? How does a perfect gentleman treat his girlfriend? A gentleman treats his girlfriend the way she wants to be treated. Exactly what it sounds like. You are a gentleman means not most things you do will be gentle in nature, especially when interacting with women. A gentleman is well behaved, well educated, and knows how to treat a lady. A gentleman is a man who tries to put his best qualities forward for others to see. He portrays himself as someone with integrity. Here are few other traits. First is well-mannered, like charismatic, confident, honest, dependable, humble, and chivalrous. And second is educated. They must be intelligent, a good listener, don't need to follow language, enjoys reading and learning. So ladies or gentlemen, the gentleman is usually the embodiment of what many too look for in their perfect man. They're cool, calm, and collected when it comes to most tasks, and when we know women love guys who can make decisions easily. A guy is a boy by birth, a man by age, and a gentleman by choice.
Morning, each and everyone. I am Crystal Faith Alum, and I will be the reporter of Is Human Nature Good or Evil? Human nature is translated as Xing, also known Xing in Chinese. The Chinese Xing means mind or heart and life. The concept is quite similar to the Hebrew nation of live, which means seat of reason and emotions. For for Confucian scholars, the goodness of human's nature is not only given from heaven, but also in something to be worked hard for. Furthermore, Minutius believes that human perfectibility is possible if humans will nature and cultivate the inner virtues through training and education. In order for man to be good, one must be transformed by the teachings of a master guided by virtual practices and principles of godness, arms with conscious effort or an activity.
Good morning to all everyone. This is the report. Mincius. Mincius believes that all human beings are the same. He explains that even the sage are humans. The only difference is the one sage are capable nurturing the innate qualities within them. Since human nature is endowed with these sprout or qualities and all human beings possess such a nurture, it follows that everyone is capable of becoming great normal. Example, sagehoods. Then it's not an exclusive endeavor for the few, it's for everyone. Mincius gives a simple but good analogy. Humans are like a seeds. Seeds must be sown, planted, and nurtured so that they will grow with some seeds. Grow faster and bear good fruits. Because they are nurtured will some seed do not grow. Well, because they are left untended, some seeds are left untended because of external circumstances. Given this sometimes of humanity, one may ask, why have many humans not become seeds? Mingus explained, simply that humans have not looked much deeper into themselves, may have failed to focus their attention and cultivating and nurturing and goodness within them. While Minkus views the human nature is good, it does not mean that disregards or denies any tendency of human beings to commit evil. On the contrary, he recognizes the fact, true and original character of human being. That is bid good to prove the claim, and Minkus used the metaphor of the four sprout of beginning of human natures, namely compassion, shame, dislike, modesty, and sense of right and wrong.
Good afternoon, everyone. By the way, my name is G-3. My topic is all about Zunzi view of human nature. According to Zunzi, human nature is characterized by a selfishness or evil. By a evil, Zunzi means something that evokes a feeling of revulsion. Thus, human nature is as evil means a person is incapable of living in a more cultured and civilized with his or her fellow human beings. Human beings are less capable of creating peace, harmony, and order because the human nature includes desires and emotions that cannot be easily controlled. These emotions are desires such as hatred, crime, selfishness, jealousy, disloyalty, violence, and greed are formed through the senses, and when human beings act on these desires and emotions, they will find themselves committing evil. Human beings naturally tend to love the first, prioritize self-interest as well as envy and hate others. It is natural that self-love is the beginning of learning to love others. Before one can love another, one has to love one first. If one loves the self, he or she can know how to love others. Sonzi, he is trying to affirm the power of emotions and desires, then the power of the mind to control and manipulate. However, allowing one's emotion and desires to take control of the one's action will have devastating effect on others. What Sudzi implies is that moral character or behavior is not natural a human beings. Morality is a product of conscious exertion of something unnatural or artificial to make rules and principles as governing law of human conduct. This applies to moral qualities and virtues as well. For him, nurturing and cultivating virtuing and moral qualities are artificial as these build defenses to stop the flow of humans' nature tendencies. That is morality or ethical behavior is arbitrary, just like traffic lights. The meanings are simply agreed upon by members of the community who see the traffic lights are essential in their daily activity. The kind of analogy explains Sunzi's view of the artificiality of morality. Sunzi attributed morality as sage kings who, according to him, were irresponsible in creating moral principles and norms. However, although morality is artificial, it was not necessarily innate in the sage kings. Rather, the sage kings' ability to conceive moral norms and principles is due to their keen observations of the horrors of human life. The sage kings found a danger in letting one's own desires and selfishness as the rules which govern one's life. They had to establish rules and laws to govern human behavior and prevent frequent incursions to selfish desires and emotions. To a certain extent, Sunzi saw the value of goodness or civilized values. They are to be cultivated and nurtured precisely because human nature is evil. Since civilization is unnatural, so is morality. Since human nature is evil and it is tempered by building mechanisms to stop its flow from the human veins. Building artifices like morality and law, further prevention can be made through educating oneself. Essential to education are competent teachers or masters in training the young of self-mastery and self-cultivation. Through education, one cultivates and nurtures the self to become a better person. That's all. Thank you.
Is the family rituals. Confucianism believes that the family is crucial in forming a good, pious, and virtuous person.
Confucianism practice. Confucianism believes in ancestors worship and human-centered virtues for living a peaceful life. The golden rule of Confucianism is to not do unto others what you would not want others to do unto you. Thank you.
A pleasant afternoon to everyone. I am Zaina Zariazin Al Ibakitas, and I am going to report about world issues. Women. A wife is expected to submit herself to her husband. In childhood, a young girl is bound by duty to her father. When she marries, she enters into the family of her husband. she is expected to obey and serve both her husband and his parents. It was only when her own son gets married that she would have power over someone else, her daughter-in-law. It is not evident that Confucius wanted education to be extended to women. Confucius rarely had anything to say about women in the Analects. The only time he said anything about women was when he said it is always difficult to deal with women and servants. If you are too close to them, they become insolent. If you keep them at too great a distance, they complain. Confucius also said that he had yet to meet a woman who is as full of virtue as a man is, and Confucius. Students were warned to guard themselves against female beauty when young. The only woman named in the Analects was Nancy. Accounts say that she was the wife of the Duke of Wei, and that both were politically powerful and promiscuous. Confucius was said to have met and spoken with her, something his students disapproved of. Confucius had to defend himself against their criticism, saying he had done nothing wrong. Like many passages in the Analects, there was no context heard as what Nanzi or Confucius said in the conversation, nor why he was talking to her. All of Confucius' students were male. Confucius' concerns were male concerns. Getting a post in government, being a filial son, and so on. Women also do not figure in what we know about the lives and conversation of Confucius students. Texts from Confucius' time and later Confucius texts were especially critical of women in position of power. Women were to provide a harmonious household, with the man's role was outside the home. Men dealt with the public issues and everything outside of the household, while women were to deal with the domestic and the private. Rules for domestic rituals, such as ancestral veneration, included a woman. When a woman married, she left her parents' house and went to live with her husband's family. In ancestral veneration ceremonies, the first wife of the primary descendant of the ancestors led the other women of the household, just as her husband led the other men who participated in the rituals. Others point out that however balanced the ritual of ancestral veneration may be as regards the roles of men and women. The ancestors being venerated are the man's ancestor, and the children who hold more responsibilities in the family are a man's sons.